Lead off.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Independent Producers Organization live showcase. We are expecting a call in from Colorado about overpopulation today, and I hope we can keep having on the screen the different parts that we have going on today, like the caller's name, our names, things like that.
Sure, I think we got that all set up.
Okay.
Until he calls in, you might talk a little bit about who this fella is. It is a fella, right?
Yes, right,
Okay.
right. No, that's good. His name is Frosty Wooldridge. He's to me, he's the foremost authority on overpopulation, and that speaks out about it. So really talks about it, prepares material, and sends material out. He talks as a speaker at colleges, civic clubs, high schools, and conferences. You know, when someone's talking this much about all this stuff, you'd think everybody would understand and take a part, and they grab a hold of what he's trying to convey.
Yeah, but there's just as much power or more power going to keep that message from getting out.
That's right.
Because there's a lot of people that profit on the way things are right now.
You want to keep things, it's exactly right.
So
He's written How to Live the Life of Adventure. Just going to him on the internet, Frosty Wooldridge, Wooldridge, Ridge.
So he doesn't have necessarily a website other than with his name. Then he doesn't have it. He doesn't.
How to Live the Life of Adventure. That's another one that he has.
That's a website.
Right,
Oh,
right.
all right.
And he has an adventure book, How to Live the Life of Adventure, The Art of Exploring the World. And he's done it. He's explored the world, but it's provided him material to deal directly with overpopulation, the condition of the world, though, like India, China, things we already know about.
And those aren't even the worst countries.
That's right. That's right.
So how did you get a hold of this fella? You just picked up his book, or?
No, I've been on their list. They have a group of people that it's called Circle of Friends, and they it's on your email list. It's about that many.
Oh my gosh!
And so here in town, here we have Les Knight. He's works with the extinction aspect of it. Jimmy Moglia.
Jimmy, right?
Who's written the How to Do Your Daily Shakespeare. He's totally into it. I've had him on our shows here, and I probably will again soon, because they're ones that we're really concerned about it, because we're going to run out of oil. People don't realize that. It's just, and there isn't any substitute. I've been getting things on my email saying, here's a substitute, it's just going to push oil out of the way. Well, where is that now? It isn't anywhere. So, of course, we heard about that years ago. Always another substitute. And I suppose that the person that's working on the substitute wants a few $100,000.
Well, there's always that, but there's also the fact that as long as the energy corporations control the media, they'll make sure that we keep drilling, and they'll make sure that we keep doing what we do in order to keep the present paradigm in place.
That's true, but they don't control the email that goes around to everybody. So
that's true. They don't.
A different area.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. He's a 6-continent world bicycle traveler, Canada to Mexico in the summer of 2015, 2,000 miles, and 100,000 vertical feet of climbing.
This is probably a young guy, huh?
He is 68. That's what gets me.
Really?
Yeah, he's 68 years old. And I just don't, he better not try to do an open heart surgery and do all that vertical climbing. It just won't work.
Gosh, I was figuring he had to be in his 30s with all that.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
wonder if,
There's a picture of him, but it's not visible. It just, we can't use that.
well, there's a few questions I definitely want to ask this fellow when he calls in. Have we got the high sign yet? Has he called in? Apparently not. No, all right. Hasn't called in yet. You know, I'd like to make a connection between overpopulation and consumption, because there's many people that believe it isn't the population, it's the fact that we're over-consuming. If we had a society that didn't produce and consume so much, we could handle as many people that are on the planet now. And obviously that's probably not true, but a lot of people think that, and that was something I would like him to address.
That's a good thing to talk about.
Because the fellow that called in a while back said, what did he say, that this planet could only hold 1.5 billion people, something like that?
I think
2 billion?
That's not a bad number. If it's less than that, that's all right too.
Considering it's 20% of what's there now, yeah, well, maybe
That's right.
somewhere around a quarter or so, yeah.
Well, what we're really concerned about is going up to 7 billion people, just almost like overnight. You just can't do that. The Earth can't sustain that kind of increase, and it especially can't what they call net immigration. People still coming in all the time. That's been a thing here.
Well, it might be tough on us, but it's tough on them too, wherever they're coming from.
That's right. You know, I've been hearing that they stopped immigration from about roughly 1926 to 1965, we'll say. But, and when they did it to give a chance for the people to be here to assimilate into society. I mean, if we get tens of thousands of immigrants from Syria and everywhere from over there, how are they going to get into society unless they have time to do it? Well, that was what happened.
Well, with 5% or whatever unemployment right now, maybe that number was the veterans that are unemployed was 5%. I don't remember, but there has to be jobs waiting for them too.
Well, that's right. Veterans are different from.
So it's we're waiting on this phone call. You weren't supposed to call him. He's supposed to call in.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We're supposed
All right.
to
Well, hopefully he'll get a hold of it, and hopefully there's not trouble with the phones, because that definitely can happen from time to time. Well, we'll just mention that during the second half of the program, we're going to bring a producer in, and a couple people on her crew. That she gets out, and she's been producing single shows. She hasn't been producing the live, or even produced the taped control room and studio shoots. It's been mostly out in the field, I believe. But we'll talk to her more about that when the time comes. And that's going to be during the second hour at 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And hopefully by then we'll have talked with, what was his name again?
Frosty.
Frosty. I gotta forget a name like Frosty,
Actually,
especially this time of the year.
It's Forrest.
Oh, it is?
That's his technical name.
Oh, all right.
So
Well, this time of the year,
he doesn't mind Frosty at all. Yeah, no, that's.
So what's his since he's not here to talk about it right now,
Right.
what's his main thing about overpopulation?
Well,
His main solution, I should say.
less people. There's nothing.
Well, yeah,
else.
but you got to get there. You can't just push them all off a cliff. So what are you going to do?
Jay, that's an idea.
All right, Trump.
No. I of course didn't mean that, but
Of course not.
you
but-
have to. I understand that even Thailand and another country over there had people go out and around and talk to, shall we say, the women, and do things to cut down on their population more so than anywhere else. It was a very effective effort. I've been asking, I say, I want to know more about what they've done. I would really like to see if we can follow up on that. And because like India, it's a perfect example of not being able to stop. They don't know how to stop or control.
Well, that
the
it's
population.
sometimes it's a cultural thing where you don't talk to the women, you talk to the men.
That's right.
Because the men are the ones that control it. Not that that's right, but that's the way it is.
In the case of China, now that they've released this thing where only one child,
Now they can have two, right?
you know, I don't. They're going to find out that that won't work either. It just doesn't work to have the Earth can't sustain it. They can't control people that just keep coming and keep coming in. And when you think about it, having 1 more billion people in a 12-year period, that's horrendous.
Is that what they're saying it would be?
That's what the population increase lately has been.
No, I think between India and China, they have like a third of the world's population, maybe more. I don't know exactly, but it's a lot.
Right. That's right. You'd
And-
almost think that Russia really had a pretty good control. They just don't seem to be a problem.
Or in Russia?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, most of that country, even though it's a big country, most of it's Siberia. There ain't too many people
probably
living
not
there.
useful, and you always think of everybody wearing coats.
Mhm.
Oh, it must be cold all the time.
I can remember in the 70s when I was in college, there was something called ZPG, zero population
That's
growth.
right,
If
absolutely
everybody just replaces themselves, then, a man and a wife will have 2 kids. And that sounded real logical to me, but the fellow that called in before, he was saying that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I don't remember why. It would seem to me it would work, but maybe it doesn't work because people don't do it.
Okay. If a person, husband and wife, probably 2 different locations, and they have 2 children, okay, then those children are going to go out and marry and have 2 more children. No, in other words, it's already going to be an exponential increase in the number of people, and
Oh, okay.
those people will still be alive.
Especially nowadays.
Yeah, they're gonna last. They're gonna last. So I think if that's what they found out that having two won't work because it just keeps
It
increasing.
still increases. It slows it down, but it still increases.
Well, yeah, if that was the only thing it would do, but the increase has been so great, we need to backtrack, and I personally don't know quite how to do it, except, shall we say, take the first step. Do
Right.
something.
Well, that's probably what Frosty would be able to contribute to the conversation is how to go about doing this, because it just seems a phenomenal thing to me. People are going to have children. People want children, and the death rate is slowing. Although I don't know, with cancer on the rise and some of these diseases that are coming on board now because they're becoming immune to our antibiotics and all that, and the lack of gun control or gun safety. I always try to use the word safety rather than gun control. I forget how many thousands and tens of thousands of people die in domestic situations or suicides.
Mm-hmm.
Much, way beyond what we're getting with what's going on with homicides and all that with the terrorism. It's a small amount. But that's getting off the subject. But still, that fact remains that there's not enough to take to cull the herd, so to speak. I guess we're always gonna keep getting more and more. We're up to 330 million, I think, in this country.
Yes, right. And of course, this doesn't help either. 4 million for the state of Oregon.
Is that what we're hitting now?
Yeah, that was discouraging to me because I said, well, that's just too many people. The state of Oregon should probably have about 300,000 to 500,000. That would seem to be about right.
That's the population of Portland, 500,000.
Yeah, that's right. But people don't realize how much resources they use up all the time. Of course, oil and gas, those are primary ones, and they do, and that's going to happen to us. We're going to find. Well, we're going to be at a loss for all that.
Well, it'd be really tough on people to do without gas and oil and even electricity, but throw water into the mix, you got a real problem. People got to have water, and there's
Yeah, that's
one
right.
point whatever billion that don't have adequate water, and you get to the point where for sanitation and all that, it's even a larger number. And and obviously energy is important, but water should be a human right. It shouldn't be being bottled and sold by Nestle and Coca-Cola and all this. But this is a capitalist society, and that's the name of that tune for now. But there's so many deep intrinsic changes that has to be made. There'll be those that want to make the case that it's capitalism, and that's something we could do some night. Interview what capitalism, what the anti-capitalists or the socialists believe should be done, because everything you talk about revolves around population. It may not be stated, but it's there.
That's right. But it's been critical over the past few years. Like I say, 12 years, and then 12 years before that, 12 years. Each time, another 1 billion people. It's just too much. And you never see anything anywhere. Everybody says, oh, the sweet little baby. And they just want to have that and have more. Everybody wants to have what they have. The propulsion of the human race in that category is just almost unstoppable. It's just horrendous. It's a matter of education.
But Thailand did it, right? Wasn't it Thailand or Cambodia? One of them. They did it.
They cut way down. That's right. Control their own future. That's right.
Well, places that don't have natural resources or a strong government can probably have a harder time of it than in countries that are developed nations, and they're able to reach people through media, and they have resources, or they can import resources. Like Japan's got very little, but look at them; they got one of the best economies in the world, and I think they probably what is it? Tokyo is 30 million people. Is that even? I can't even imagine 30 million people living on an island like that.
That's right. They're have a negative birth rate, so they're good.
Really?
They're good people. That's right. They're concerned because they say they won't have enough young people to take care of the old people. Well, why can't some of the old people take care of some of the old people? I don't think you have to keep breeding in order out of control to get too many people.
Well, there's points where things kind of intersect, and you got to have young people in order to keep it viable. People tend to, no offense, man, people tend to get conservative as they get older, and so you don't want a completely conservative. You need to have progressive elements with maybe a little bit more creativity that are out there, that are hungry and lean, and they want to produce. They're not laid back and older or elderly, and so they have their life behind them, and they got everything going for them. That doesn't make for a very viable economy.
Okay.
You need to have elements that are coming up. Elements meaning people, of course, that can add to the mix and create, whether it's on art, science, or whatever. I mean, a lot of your science these days are young people.
Yeah. Oh, they're if they recommend colleges hey, you should take this. Do it.
Yep. Engineers, science,
chemicals.
So much of it is becoming in computer science.
This Frosty, one of the things he said was they're cheating the kids by not having them do math and science.
They're not having them do it?
Well, I don't know how much he seemed to think they cut down on it, and that all people just go take liberal arts, just writing and music, and I don't know what else. But
well, they're taking things to be able to make a quick buck when they get out.
Yeah,
they're not teaching
write
people,
it down.
They're not teaching people to think. They're teaching people to earn a living, and that's I don't know what people think they're on this planet for, but you have to earn a living. But that ain't why we're here.
Right.
I don't think anyway. I mean, you gotta provide for yourself, and it's just too much that's too bad that we're in a situation where, because America, the United States, I don't want to. There's a lot of Americas. The United States is only one of the many countries in America. But we have enough resources and whatever wherewithal in order to support a lot more people than are here now. Obviously, in the long run, it would deplete your resources. But it's the countries that are developing. They're the ones that want to have the standard of living that we have.
That's right.
And
exactly
that's the
right.
problem. You know, can you imagine India and China? I mean, I wonder how many millions of cars China's going to have. And so,
I get to see where they get 27,000 a week or whatever coming over there, and they have traffic tie-ups 120 miles long.
oh my,
I just can't.
you can't even get out of your house because you can breathe
Yeah,
it's so hard to breathe.
How could you go anywhere and enjoy yourself if you're looking to? Because
Well-
they run out of everything. They run out of water and food.
Well, maybe it's like North Korea. They tell them to enjoy themselves.
Oh, okay. Is that?
Maybe that's it. I don't know. But we burned through 20 minutes here now, and he
Yeah,
hasn't
yeah.
called. So what's your solution to this?
Well, I wonder if we ought to have your other part of the show.
Well, I don't know. We could probably do that, but I don't know if everybody's ready to do that.
Oh.
Is there any way you can call the guy and
Well,
and maybe things happen to people, especially when they're not in town.
Mhm.
He's in Colorado somewhere, and
Yeah, that's
maybe he's mixed up on the time. Did you mention?
It's right here. It says here, we're good to go for Wednesday, December 9th, 2015, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Well, 7 p.m. for him would have been.
Oh, he would know. The
Yeah,
difference.
he would know the difference.
he'd
Yeah,
know the difference.
that can foul people up. Daylight savings can foul people up.
Mhm.
So I didn't know if you'd wanted to do that or not.
We could put up the replay schedule.
Did
if
you make
want.
that up?
Yeah, that's made up.
All right. Well, let's give it a few more minutes, and
Okay.
because I know that Alicia and her troop can eat up a lot more time. But now that we've got everybody primed with the with
Right.
this overpopulation, I'd love to get into the dynamics with this fellow. Because I learned a lot from this other fellow that called, and most of which I probably forgot.
Oh, yes, right.
And
right.
it's as we've said, it's at I guess there's two things that are the base of what's going on the planet, and one is corporate control, and the other is overpopulation,
Okay.
and which is synonymous also with the overconsumption.
Mhm.
And if something is invented, it gets used. I mean, it gets put out there, whether it's a weapon or some triviality, they'll find a way to sell it. And there's nothing that can be done about that, because those people that are coming up younger that I told you about that are creative,
Yeah.
they're creating more stuff, and also creating advertising and ways to persuade people to buy them. And so this creativity works both ways. And unfortunately, we're in a situation now with. Would you say 4 million in this state, which is nothing compared to some states?
4 million, yeah.
4 million. I mean, L.A. probably has 10 million just in Los Angeles.
Oh, right. Speaking of that, you remember they're still in a drought situation. They're
Oh, I'd imagine.
and we're catch-22 as far as we are concerned because they're down there trying to get water to grow our vegetables, our stuff. It's a
What's the
total
sixth largest
catch-22.
economy on the planet? Is it California?
And I think it's down in Texas, a town called Porterville. No water. I don't know how they do it. No water.
Well, that might be because of all the fracking that's going on. There's people that the fracking all the water they're using for the fracking has been dropping the water table to where people can't. Their wells don't have water anymore.
Okay, I didn't.
That's something I've seen. I actually saw that on a report.
Mhm.
Like CBS or something. That there's a downside to technology, and sometimes, not sometimes,
That's right.
most of the time when something is invented, it's implemented. Whether it's atom bomb or whatever, with no care, we're down the road. What'll happen? As a consequence of it.
Right.
And then the people that invented it made all the money. They don't got to live with the consequences. It's the people that live out there, like those folks that live near fracking and they can light their water coming out of their tap on fire because of all the chemicals being pumped into the ground.
Wow.
And so that's something that needs to be thought about ahead of time, and then you think about all the different pipelines and the coal trains and oil trains and all the different things they want to do. Yeah, we need the energy, but in the long run, if the energy companies put as much energy into uh, researching alternate energy sources as they do into drilling new wells, I think we'd be further on down the road, and they'd make money either way. I don't really understand that mentality, that they would make money either way, whether it's the new energy, the old energy. The new energy wouldn't bother the planet as much, but they're busy denying climate change rather than trying to prepare for it. So this is all part of our population.
Right. This fracking, they say that those places where they're working on them can be seen from outer space.
My gosh.
In Canada, I think.
Yeah, the fracking and the tar sands.
It's such a change to the earth, and it keeps bringing gas and oil into everybody, but
yeah, and more people will need more energy,
and it's going to run out.
Yeah, because I sometimes think about it. I've got cell phone plugged in, I've got 3 or 4, laptop maybe, and all these different things plugged in. Your TV, all these things on that are plugged in all the time, slowly draining a little bit of energy, and it's not a lot of energy, but you add that up, nationwide, worldwide, and it's makes me feel guilty sometimes.
Oh, okay. All right.
But how could we live without our cell phones? Well, if we didn't have them, we could live without them real quick.
Oh,
but
okay.
just the thought of not having all these electronic gadgets, it kind of scares people. But at the same time, that is just part of the weight that's on us.
Right.
Well, so I guess he's not going to call in. So I guess we're just going to.
We got to go that way.
So all right,
let's take care of your people.
Okay, so I guess what we should do is we've got you say you made up a graphic of the playback.
Yeah, right.
And so we'll move in some more chairs, and hopefully Elise is ready to do this.
Can you find that graphic of the play dates?
Did Amy put that together for us?
I did. It took me a long time.
It always does, I know. And now as you're getting used to that, they're going to give us a different one, I understand.
Oh.
There we go. All right.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right, welcome to the second half of the Independent Producers Organization Live Showcase. We kind of cut the first segment short since we didn't get the phone call from the fellow that wanted to come on, call in and talk about overpopulation. It's too bad. I had a lot of questions for him because that is an issue that's at the heart of everything that's going on all over the planet, along with overconsumption and corporate control, but we won't get into that now, but we might get into it in a while here. But I have some guests with me tonight that Elisa Christensen, who is a producer, and I'll let her talk a little bit about her guests and what she's doing here.
Well, I'm Elisa, and the show I'm doing is called Meet the Disenfranchised, and at first I wanted to do a show called Crippled People Are Mean because I'm disabled, and I've noticed how nasty people are to disabled people, and it's really, at first I thought, oh, maybe I'm just imagining things, but no, people are really, really mean to cripples. So I was going to do Crippled People Are Mean, and then I started thinking, well, how big is Portland, and how many crippled people are there in Portland? Maybe I should rethink this. So I decided to do Meet the Disenfranchised, because then that's 98% of us. But the first show I did was called Crippled People Are Mean.
Mm-hmm.
I did a 2-minute video, 2-minute commercial for PCM. We can show it if you want.
Right now?
Yeah, well,
All
right
right,
now.
run the first 2-minute clip.
Meet the Disenfranchised, and today we're talking about transplants. Transplants are ruining Portland. Meet the Disenfranchised, and today we're talking about activists. Activists are idiots. Big fat idiots. Meet the Disenfranchised. Today we're talking about crippled people. Crippled people are mean, slow, aliens. Meet the Disenfranchised, and today we're talking about environmentalists.
Environmentalists are self-indulgent.
Meet the Disenfranchised, and today we're going to talk about the homeless. Homeless people are drunks and addicts and vampires.
Yes. You can smell the dirt on them.
Yep, and they're always asleep during the day. So that was my first 5 shows, and it's been fun. It's been fun. It's been fun making them.
Mm-hmm. Now, who'd you bring as your guests here?
Casey Wellborn, he's in several of the shows. He also did a really, we try to do funny little bits because our shows are so serious about the houseless problem, about the environment, that we want to make it somehow funny, so it's watchable, you know. So it's not so so it's not so it's no baby seals getting whacked. I can't watch this. I can't watch this. So we did a native brochure, or
No, it was a Native American brochure.
yeah,
This continent.
how to live on this continent. Yeah, that's we did on the last show.
Mm-hmm.
But you could show maybe and Ibrahim Mubarak. I'm sorry.
He's no stranger to public access.
Live television. I'm not used to it.
Well, he's not no stranger to the channel news either, because of your work with R2D2 and I don't know if you worked with Dignity Village. I don't remember that far back.
Yeah,
I think you
that's
did.
where we first met. when we
Right,
did
way back. And the fellow that moved to England?
Yeah, Jack Tafari.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Whatever happened with him?
He's in England.
That's all you know.
Across the pond.
He crossed the pond, yeah, all right.
Skipped him across the pond.
So obviously, since with your work with R2D2 and Dignity Village, that you were involved in this project in the homeless aspect, but that may not be it. There may be more too.
Well, Ibrahim and I, we all met at, no, we went to the Rainbow right after. It's where we met at the Pitch a Tent campaign.
Yeah.
So let's roll the shows because we come to all those.
Okay, so you have another show.
Yeah, I put them in order. So the first show is called Crippled People Are Mean because I do a show that I could talk my friends into doing. So I thought, well, better do it yourself first so they can see it.
Is this just an excerpt from the show?
Yeah, it's an excerpt, yeah. A couple
All right,
minutes.
excerpt number 1.
Meet the disenfranchised. Today we're talking about crippled people. Crippled people are mean, slow, aliens. Society looks at disabled people, they put us in a box. Like, crippled people are mean, crippled people are ugly, crippled people don't have a place in society. Crippled people, stay away from me, you know. I was injured. I kept thinking, oh, I'm just imagining things differently as what they are, but now I can see it. I can see myself getting put in that box almost every day.
The fire and the stroke were one and the same, so at the same time. And
You had a stroke while you were under anesthesia?
yeah, exactly. So that left me my right side affected, and then disfigurement came about the fire.
Do you feel disenfranchised?
I do. I think any American that's paying attention probably feels the same way. It has nothing to do with my injury.
Do you feel like you're part of society's machine?
No. As far as the SARS, no, I don't. $150 a month don't go anywhere, and a cookie's $10. So, you know,
You need to find a charity
yeah,
to buy them for you. I wonder who it could be.
yeah, you.
Not me, Portland
Yeah,
Burn Survivors.
yeah.
Portland Burn Survivors, Inc. is a nonprofit devoted to helping burn survivors live happy, rewarding lives for survivors, their friends, and family.
There's a lot of fear in the world, and that's just one aspect.
Yeah. Anybody who's different, GIMPs, get called from the herd.
Exactly. I can't tell you how many times I've got kicked out of the bar from just walking in. My friends are like drunk, and I'm like, well, hold it. Speaking normally, trying to communicate, but they already got their mind made up because I walk odd.
Mm-hmm. I often come off as totally drunk because I slur my words and I stumble.
Right.
And I don't drink. In the opposite world.
People would love us.
Yeah.
Right. And we wouldn't have to ask an Asian.
Ask an Asian.
Opposite word, you are correct. People that hate you won't love you.
And we wouldn't even have to do yoga, and already we'd be
Yeah.
tight.
Yeah. But should we do a little yoga? Let's.
Let's do yoga.
Only the good die young.
One day at a time. I hate it, but it's safe. It's true.
I like a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. because I think it sounds vaguely naughty, but I really don't know why. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
And Black Sabbath and Ozzy do that, so how can you go wrong?
All right.
Yeah, so that was one. That was the first one.
So that was, you kind of went through some of the shows that you've done in the past then.
Well, that was the first show.
That one was the first
Yeah,
show?
that was the first one. Crippled People Are Mean.
Oh, that's right, because the yoga guy was also a burn survivor.
Yeah,
right?
burn
Yeah,
survivor.
okay.
Yogi Rob is a burn survivor.
So what? Since that was where you first started off to do this, didn't you say you were going to do something on burn surviving, and you changed your theme?
Well, I have a not-for-profit called Portland Burn Survivors, because when I moved up here, I moved from Los Angeles, which is, pardon me, I have a cold. Los Angeles is a huge metropolis, so there is a lot of burn support there. I came up here and there is nothing. I mean, no burn support at all. When you leave the hospital, see ya, try not to kill yourself. And it breaks my heart because a lot of people do kill themselves after 2 or 3 years, and you're still going through surgeries and you still have wounds that are open. You're like, F it. I'm gone. I'm out of here.
I've had some minor burns when I was 13, 14. I had 2nd degree, I had 3rd degree, and it wasn't anything debilitating after it healed. But I know, I mean, it heals slow and they're really easily infected. It's terrible.
Well, for me, even what was worse was, it wasn't even the burn injury. It was, they can't fix you all at once, like a car accident. You're in a surgery for 10 hours and then you just see if you're repaired. When you're burned, every 4 or 5 days you get a little surgery, and then surgery number 8, they gave me a stroke under anesthesia. So that's why I walk with the cane, and everyone just assumes that because I was burned on my feet, oh, your poor feet are burned, but it would just be cosmetic. Now, at this point, I could run. I don't care if my feet are burned. I was fine, but the stroke was way worse than the burns. And the burn injury was really hard to take, but brain injury is way harder to deal with.
Is it common that other injuries happen?
Paul Peterson, who you just saw on the episode 1, he had a stroke under anesthesia as well. And it drives him crazy because people look at him and they see, oh, an ugly man and his face is horrible and his hands are gnarled and he can't talk right. I don't want to deal with him. And of course, he can't speak, not because of the burn injury, but because of his stroke. And he has a great vocabulary, but he just can't access it. It's called aphasia.
Well, it seems to me that as bad as the injuries are, that somehow there's the response you get from society is if not as bad an injury, at least it's insult to injury.
Yeah, it's weird. When I was in Los Angeles, I was a stunt woman. So I was in pretty good shape. I was pretty healthy, active, and used to a certain response I'd get from people around me. Not just like men wanting to hit on me, but anyone just nod, say hello, nice. People would
Acknowledge you.
exactly acknowledge you. Cut to after I am finally out of my wheelchair and I get a little tiny apartment by myself, for myself in Venice Beach. I was so depressed and so kind of suicidal. I thought, well, if I live close to the ocean, at least I can go to walk to the ocean every morning, and how bad can life be? Well, I lost track of what I'm saying because we're on live television. It fucks. Sorry, yeah.
I think
Screws me up.
It's too quick for the beeper on that
Yeah.
one. Well, it's all right. You know, that thread might come back. It happens. You lose your train of thought. It's a lot of concentration, especially on TV. But the burn was just why you got started, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I get up here and I start Portland Burn Survivors, and I got a good response. You know, a lot of people wanted the friendship and community that other burn survivors, you know. Other burn survivors, it's just like people, I guess, that have cancer. It helps them to be with other cancer survivors, people that have been through the same thing, that people that know what you're going through, and you don't have to explain yourself. They get it. So it's nice to have, but it's, you know, it's hard to make money, and we're always kind of in the red, and, you know.
Forces you to be creative, like you've been.
Yeah, maybe.
And work with other creative people.
Yeah. I wanted to do Crippled People Are Mean, and at first I was thinking of KBOO because even Lisa do a show on KBOO, and I was like, well, their show's cool, I'll do a show there. KBOO is not GIMP friendly. PCM, very GIMP friendly. I'm telling you.
It's because it's a
Put the camera back on me. I'm telling you something important.
It's
PCM is so much friendlier. They have
much newer
GIMP
building.
doors that open for you, and the people there, the people here are nice, you know. And at KBOO, I don't want to put them down. I'm happier that I'm here than there.
KBOO does good work.
Yeah.
But not everybody's perfect.
Yeah.
So you say that, well, she said that you do a program there?
Yeah.
What is it?
That's where we just coming from. Our radio show is called Right to Survive Radio, where we go out into the houseless community on the streets and get real stories, not main media, documented, corporate propaganda by this country. And we listen to real stories, how people are suffering or how people are getting successful, how they become houseless and what they're doing to end they suffering in the streets, whether they self-medicating or social service hopping or getting on taking initiative to say, hey, I'm gonna create a different life for myself. Or we don't get to talk to the people that take their life, but we know about them. A lot of people take, as Lisa say, this country have a knacking disorder by if things is not beautiful, they don't want you around, and beautiful to who, you know, as Lisa was explaining, because people get burned, they think they outer presence not beautiful, they can have a beautiful mind, a beautiful spirit. Same thing with houseless people. You know, people walk around, oh, look at that nasty bum, dirty, filthy, 25 eating hamburger person on the street, don't want to get up and do nothing, they sitting down, give me more stuff. That's the corporate stereotypical houseless person that you see on main media, but you walk the streets, some people that live on the sidewalks, you wouldn't even know they was houseless, especially if they can provide showers, affordable housing, shelters, place where they can wash their clothes, where they can keep their families together, because they separate families. They have men's shelter, women's shelter, where do the children go? We don't know. They grew up in the streets and stuff like that. So the similarity what people go through that's not looking proper to the American public are similar things, you know. It's just like when I met you, you had nice brown hair, and now you got white hair, and they talk about, oh, he's always hair is white, so you know, good. Same thing with cars. Cars, they want you to buy a 2017 or 16. What's wrong with your 2015? They don't look attractive.
Also, burn survivors often, burn injuries can take a really, really long time to heal. My surgeries weren't finished for 5 years. I couldn't have a job. Even if I didn't have a stroke, I couldn't have had a job and then go through 20 surgeries, starting and stopping, and no. So a lot of people with serious brain injuries end up homeless because, you know, their jobs can't wait for them. Their bills keep coming in.
Sure.
That's it.
Any kind of debilitation.
And
Right,
fortunately, I was in a union, so my medical bills were paid, and I have a really big, loving family that has a little extra money on the side, so they could put me up and take care of me for a couple years. But if I was a single child with parents that had passed away, yeah, easily homeless.
Most people don't have that kind of support network, especially with such longevity.
Yeah.
It lasts so long.
Even with that support network, the way the economic system is now, it turned us from being a caring, loving nation to a selfish nation, because if they give you part of their pot, they gold pot, then they won't have, and they're afraid of sharing, because then they may be back in the street, or they may be considered, poor and not accepted by society.
You know, when you were on a while back with Lisa, two of the things that struck me about R2D2 and the work that you do is people need help negotiating the bureaucracy, and they need a place that they can, another one was the keeping clean and the clothes. The other one was have a place where they can communicate, get on a computer and be able to be connected, find work, and connect up with the various bureaucracies. And that probably holds true for people that are disabled too as well, because the bureaucracy, they're at that mercy. It seems like to me.
It took me 4 years to get Social Security disability insurance.
How long?
4 years.
I heard it's usually 2. Well, they told you no after 2 years?
No. They gave me, well, first I had California's insurance, which was good. It was $1,400 a month, but that was only for a year. And then after that, I had to go to Social Security. Well, I couldn't, I was still hospitalized, and my brother was trying to deal with it for me, and he didn't know how to do it either. So he got me, they were giving me like $420 a month. And I'm like, yeah, okay. No, but I worked for 20 years, why so low? And I kept going back into that, to the Social Security office in Westwood. I would go in there, I would take a number, and then I would go to the gym and work out for an hour. I would come back, and I would still be in line.
I've done that.
I mean, that was horrible. But after 4 years, they finally are like, oh, you know what? You should be getting another $600 a month. See, it's not my fault. It's not my problem, really. But see, this little scrabble of paper, and I'm like, oh, yeah, right. So I was expecting, well, finally I'll get whatever the maximum is. And then my next check was almost $18,000 because they back paid me all what they owed me. So that was a nice surprise.
That's how they do that.
Yeah.
Let's watch episode number 2 because Casey's in it. Maybe we can get him to talk.
Yeah.
I was just good because I was going to work on him next here. All right, episode number 2.
Where do you live?
I live everywhere, pretty much. Anywhere I can find.
Are you disabled?
Only in the head.
How much formal education have you completed?
I have an associate's in computer science.
Tell me about where you live.
A friend of mine's garage, a 2-car garage, live in the attic of it.
How long you been living there?
Oh, a year and a half or so. Not had a residence. It's the best location I've had. Beats doorways, that swampy old van I stayed in.
My people have been disenfranchised since the Europeans came here, since they occupied, we're not part of any white privileged society, Yeah, I feel disenfranchised. I feel disenfranchised every day.
What would you like to say being residentially challenged?
Don't even try to judge another person, and come out here. I'll pick a day, you come out here and do what I do, and let's see how you're going to feel about people being nasty to you. I mean, I'm a nice guy.
Yeah, you are a nice guy.
Hey, maybe it's just a rock we live on. Everything's kind of whack. This one lady, I always have doggy treats with me. And this lady kept seeing me. She stopped and pulled up. She said, I always see you have treats for the doggies, but it looks like you could use something to eat. And she gave me a whole bag of doggy treats. I said, thank you. The red ones are really tasty.
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
She didn't get it.
I say houseless because technically that's what we are. You know, and I tell people, you know, you're not homeless. Obviously, you're home. You can't get off this rock. You know, so I mean, I'm part of this earth. I'm part of these trees. You know, I'm part of this continent. You know, so I have a home. So I'm always home. But technically, I'm houseless. You know, I don't have the four walls or the roof over my head, which I would love someday to do, and that's, you know, that's what I'm working on. You know, just, you know, being positive. You know, just being out there, and I appreciate the resources out here. You know, you can never go hungry in this town. Disenfranchised, homeless is, yeah, it's a big problem out here.
What's your favorite cliche?
They always go with that lady sings.
All right, we're
Rest
back.
in peace, Brewster.
Yeah.
God bless him. He died just 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That was the elderly gentleman there.
Yeah.
Yeah. He finally got housed after he had a pacemaker put in. The day after, they gave him a bus pass and sent him back to the street.
Oh my gosh.
With the pacemaker in. I mean, can you believe that? That's the VA. That's how they treat veterans. And finally, I never gave up on him because he's such a cool guy. And I'm not the only person that cared about him. Like, everyone in the neighborhood liked Brewster. And I finally got him housed. I said a group of us finally got him housed, I think in April. And he didn't even make it to Christmas.
Oh, man.
But maybe if they would have got him housed after he had his heart worked on, had a pacemaker put in, maybe if he wouldn't have had to go sleep outside. He slept in his friend's garage, so he was out of the elements. But in the summer, super hot. In the winter, super cold. And he was in his 60s. And and this is why I like to have my show on after 10, 11 o'clock, because I can swear my
But
off.
Yeah,
Because
I
that
can
makes me
appreciate that.
so
I can
mad,
appreciate that.
so effing mad. But yeah, God bless him, Brewster.
Yeah.
He's just a well-loved guy, and we had a really nice memorial for him at the Selwood Inn, his usual hangout.
Well, I noticed that Casey, as you said, was in that. So,
Yeah.
Casey, you made some good points about, was it 500 years of disenfranchisement?
Oh yeah, it's 500 years disenfranchised. It's, you know, I'm houseless myself a bit out in the street. I'm one of those special kind of houseless people that you know, I know my resources. I have good friends. You know, I try to, you know, I go to downtown to, you know, to eat or get whatever, or go see this guy, and well, you know, I'm at good, you know, I'm in a safe space no matter where I go. And so when I, you know, in that scene where I said, you know, I'm not homeless, because I'm no matter where I lay my head, I'm always home. You know, I came from here. Now, I mean, I can understand if I was in Russia, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm homeless. You know, but
You're destitute.
yeah, right. So, you know, and it was a good friend that told me that. You know, and I've been spreading that concept to a lot of other houseless folks. You're just technically houseless. You know, you're not homeless, no matter where you go, because obviously there are camps, you know, that people are trying to make a home. You know, it's not the ideal home in my head. You know, I mean, eventually I like to be in housing, and then I wish everybody had housing.
Should be a human right.
Yeah, you know, housing. It's just,
Absolutely.
but it's like you have to have permission, and then you have to have these credentials to to be in housing. You know.
Well, you mentioned Native American. I know a little bit about. I've read a lot about them, and they had room in their society for transgender, for people that were had emotional any kind of problems. They had room for everybody.
Yeah.
Nobody was out sitting behind a teepee with a thing saying, "We'll work
Yeah,
for
nobody
food."
was panhandling outside of TV, or the SWAT law.
Yeah.
Everybody, we were all treated equal. We all walk on the same ground, no matter what our status was.
Sure.
I mean, there could have been the poorest family in in the village, but they were just as equal as the chief, who had many. But
Right.
and
We've had too many John Wayne movies in this country.
oh yeah,
The chief was not the chief like they portray.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh my God! What did Chicago and saw one the other night? It was Navajo Joe, starring Burt Reynolds as Navajo Joe.
I saw that
seen
movie.
that.
At least, oh my God, it was so horrifying. But at least he didn't do a fake Indian accent. At least he had that much dignity. But it was horrifying. It's like people putting on blackface, but they're like, yeah, it's just an Indian.
Yeah, but you can get away with doing that as an Indian, but you can't do that with blackface nowadays. It's not correct.
Right,
But they
yeah.
still, they mention, the poor black or the poor this or the poor that, but they never mention Indians.
No, because you're invisible.
yeah,
Well,
we're pretty much invisible.
yeah.
I mean, like we're not.
They just
We're
watch.
never.
See.
You don't ever see
Are you there?
a lot of natives in a lot of media.
Yeah.
Because it's to me, I think it's just because the government doesn't want to bother with it.
Well, they're still at
That's
war
just-
with you.
No, yeah, we've always been at war. We've been at war since they got here.
Well, I might mention, folks viewing right now, I don't know if you're familiar with John Trudell, but he passed away a couple of days ago. And he's a well-known spoken word artist and poet. I'm sure you're familiar with him.
Really?
And
Yeah.
he
we
was
were-
from the Santee Sioux. I don't know your tribe affiliation.
Oh, I'm
like you
Cheyenne,
might-
Lakota, and Ojibwe.
I thought you might be Lakota. Guys are all tall.
Yeah,
So
pretty tall.
that's kind of how I can tell. There's a
You
lot
got to
of
see over those big old hills and the plains.
the buffalo, right?
Right.
Well, there's a lot of Lakota in this town too. For some
Yeah,
reason.
there's a huge native community out here, and I'm pretty involved with them. I do a lot of volunteer work for NARA and NAYA and also Bow and Arrow. And-
Familiar with all of those folks.
Yeah, and it's beautiful because it's I'm a client here, and it's like the only program in the nation, that I've heard of and that I've seen, and that has a program like this to help keep the natives spiritual and keep our ceremonies pure, and
Sure.
to stay away from drugs and alcohol and other demons.
Well, it says a lot about it because this area was just about decimated by diseases. So most of the native people I know in this town are not local natives. Most of them are all gone. And there is there's the Yakima and the Umatilla and the Siletz over there that have native people, but most of the ones you meet, seems like to me, are from mainly Navajo and Dakotas.
The bigger tribes,
The bigger tribes,
the
Dakotas.
more recognizable
Yeah.
tribes.
Yeah. So, is there a lot of natives on the streets? Like
Yeah,
yourself?
there's quite a few of us natives on the streets. I mean, I try to be an ambassador in the houseless community. If I see a native, I try to, I treat him like he's like he's my brother or he's my father, or my mother, and I help him out with whatever I can, because I'm on the same boat. That's just an example of me being, hey, we walk all on the same ground. So I'll do whatever I can to point you in the right direction, because I'm on the street, and it's sad to see my people on the street, the disenfranchised, and but it's I guess we've always been in kind of an outdoors people, so we're not affected by the elements like everybody else. So there's people that are there's quite a few people right now that have the flu or they're coming down with the sickness, and I'm not sick, because I'm outside.
Yeah, I work outside, and it seems like it puts me in the same position where I don't catch everything that goes around. You work in an office, or you go to school, and you're in a schoolroom. It's a whole different story.
Yeah, so I mean, being houseless and being Native American, I guess it doesn't really bother me being outside. I'm kind of used to it, but I don't want to be used to it.
You want to make it your choice.
Yeah, I want to make it my choice. If I want to sleep in my backyard and of my house, then yeah, I'm gonna sleep outside. And I notice it. When I do go into indoors, that like my biological clock just gets messed up because when I'm houseless. This morning I woke up, 6 o'clock, went and ate breakfast, and that's just a natural schedule for me being on the street. And I go to bed when it's dark time and it's late.
You get a lot of sleep then, don't you?
Yeah, well, I get a healthy dose of sleep. But I always wake up and I always be productive during my day.
And you wake up in the morning because it's so darn cold.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's cold. But I'm houseless. I bet I got to deal with it, and then I try to deal with it in a joyful manner. I'm just glad that the Creator lets me wake up every morning, whether it's cold, raining, whatever.
Sure. Well, we've covered a couple of the different disenfranchised, the burn victims, which you could expect.
Burn survivors.
Burn survivors.
We do not like being called victims.
Appreciate
because
that.
Just think of it as victims died. Sadly, survivors lived.
Survivors lived, right. And then the homeless. What was another subject?
Houseless.
Houseless.
We don't like to be called homeless. We like to be called houseless. We out of house.
I know better than that, too.
Well, I guess homeless, wasn't it? It was coined in the 70s as a way to get people to stop saying vagrants and bums and,
Tramps.
So it was a step. At that point, it was a step up.
But now it's become so institutionalized. It's like the homeless, and that's just a huge swoop of people. There's many, many different kinds of people experiencing houselessness for many different reasons, and you can't just throw them all in a big homeless bag.
Well, I don't know the exact percentage, but I'm sure that Ibrahim does. The percentage of veterans that are homeless and the percentage of people who are working that are houseless. Excuse me.
Right now I don't know that percentage because every day you having people that's becoming houseless and they calling me. I get at least 2 or 3 calls. I'm beginning to lose my housing. What's going to happen to me? Am I going to get in trouble? Are they going to rob me? Are they going to steal, do that? And that's because that's what secular humanism show and to speak the houseless community as being bad. But nobody never taught, you don't get educated in school or college on how to be houseless. So when you go out there, you like in kindergarten and you learning, and then you learn how to survive, and that's why we got that name, Right to Survive.
Right.
And so people are surviving just like after a stroke. Okay, I can't.
So you say you wanted to introduce the third
Oh,
one?
the third one,
Yeah.
Let's go into the third.
Okay. The third
You
shot.
want to introduce it or just let it run?
No, I can't remember what.
Can't remember which one it is.
Which one
All right,
it is.
surprise
Is it the
us.
picture tent?
Surprise us.
It might be Picture Tent, yeah. I think it is, maybe.
The third clip.
The third clip.
So what we do, we try to
Yeah,
pitch
this is
tents up
pitch
from the
tent.
time allowed to put houseless people in there to show a type of direct action.
I was downtown supporting Right to Dream 2. It was a homeless project in Portland, and we were there to raise awareness for the homeless problem in the city.
Housing rocks. Housing is cool. We want housing for all people, and we will no longer allow ourselves to be divided and conquered. We will no longer allow prison industrial complex to look at our 4th grade education scores in order to decide how many prisons we need to build for tomorrow. We ain't taking it no more. We got nothing to lose.
When the evening shadows and the stars and there's no one there to dry your tears, I could hold you for a million years.
When you go to school, they educate you with a capitalistic mind where all your whole concept of life is supposed to be a way of generating money for the top people up top, and you never can catch a head. So what I think about houseless people is being forced into a situation where they've been looked down upon, but they've proven the capitalistic way is a negative way because they learning to build a community of all ethnicity, spiritualities, and genders.
Spaceships to slave ships. My plate pin's a snake pit. Reclaiming the sacred to raise my vibrations. I'm taking the basic and speaking. Illumination through communication. I keep it circulating from beneath the peak to the zenith. I'm reaching from the base of my sacred to my apex. I mean it with the heat of a phoenix, spreading his wings in the evening, conceiving darkness to lead it for the people to see it, and bringing artistic freedom long as my heart is still beating and we're still breathing and bleeding and breathing. Believe it.
There's maybe 300-400 shelter spaces, just 300 or 400 shelter spaces, and from Portland to Salem there's about 4,000, maybe more, homeless people, and there's no space for them, and the issue of homelessness is rising.
Tasers or tear gas?
Beats rubber bullets. And they don't break bones, you don't get concussions. Just a little crying's good every once in a while.
I haven't been hit by either one of them, but I don't know if I want to. I'm not that much of a badass to be tased or tear gassed or anything like that.
So you're more of a pacifist activist.
Something like that, I would say.
Not a crazy anarchist
but,
activist.
Well, don't piss me off, or I might go postal on you.
I've been both.
Which one's worse?
The mace when it goes into your crack.
Support the cable access viewers of Portland Community Media so you all can continue to hear real life and see real life things that's happening while you sleeping at night, or the city, the monitor media don't let you see. So if we, the community, can come out and do films like this, support it, and you get well educated. And thank you for watching us, and come out next year to our annual Pitch a Tent campaign, or come visit us on 4th and Northwest Burnside and see how the houseless community are organizing themselves to be productive and to know their rights.
I just think sometimes there's just not enough love in the world.
All right, it seemed to me that most of that was shot probably in downtown area. Because I live out in outer southeast, out 82nd, and there's little camps of them out there of houseless people, and they're there for a while. And then what made me think of it was that sleep not sweeps. They sweep them out. They piled a whole bunch of rocks underneath the freeway.
Yeah.
But they just moved the other side of it, and they're houseless there. But they just keep moving them out, and I keep reading and hearing how our mayor is supposed to be doing something about
he has made houses illegal. So yeah,
He did.
So he took care of it.
I meant in a
So
positive
we have no
way.
problem now because it's illegal.
Yeah. Well, he come up with this emergency thing that people supposed to be able to be in houses, but I think it's for the emergency of, like, if we have a tornado, earthquake, or a volcano or something, then
Or an ice storm, maybe.
Yeah, something like that, or the world crack up in two, something like that.
Well, we're working on that.
We're working on that. Yeah.
Well, it seems to me, didn't I say Eugene just passed something where it's legal now to sleep on the street?
Yeah, Eugene passed it, and so we trying. They say Portland is progressive, but I think Eugene is more progressive than
Yeah,
Portland
I think
is.
so too.
Yeah.
I saw something a while back about the 4 or 5 cities in this country that are still hippie cities. Eugene,
Where?
Eugene,
Yeah, where?
Eugene
Let's
was
go.
one of them.
Let's go.
Eugene and Olympia.
Yeah, Olympia, Washington.
And I don't know, Portland might have been mentioned, but it would have been
Portland, no.
It would have
it's
been
not.
Portland is weird.
Portland's weird.
Portland's weird.
It's not hippie.
No,
Well, there must somebody must have thought so, but that's getting aside from it. But Eugene is known as much for anarchism as it is hippie.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Well,
I'm glad to see that they're at least they're taking care of, you know, isn't taking care of houselessness, but at least it's allowing people to sleep.
That's at the many avenues that we, as organizers, Elisa and Casey and I, we went down there and tried to instill confidence in them that if you speak up and fight for your right, this will happen. And they just happen to have a city council and commissioners that listen to them. Ours, they got the developers in their pocket.
They're in the pockets of
Yeah.
big corporations, and
Yeah.
we talk, and they're like, la 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 la.
We're talking about here, they don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the
I mean,
City
look at. I
Council.
mean, you go down Northeast Williams and Vancouver.
My God.
Look at it. I mean, where's all the mom and pop stores? You know, where's the micro businesses, the free enterprise that you can build you a store, and then you got New Seasons and Macy's across the street. Then you building up these high rises up and buying all the houses from them. You first want to employ this community. Then you can't get a loan to improve your house. Then your house go down and get broken, so the developers come in and buy this land cheap and move the people out and build up the expensive apartments and condominiums and stores.
That nobody can afford anymore.
Nobody can afford. And they not only ruin that, they ruining the schools, they ruining the spirituality, the churches that used to be there. There ain't no black church in Northeast Portland, about 2 or 3 now. Where the black community going? Where's everybody? And so that's the new crowd for the houseless community. Move along to where?
Yeah. Get out.
Yeah.
Okay. We
That's like
want to
we went to the rainbow. Welcome to the rainbow. And I get.
Yeah. We get up to the rainbow. We get up to the rainbow, and we went and met Ibrahim, Lisa, Trillium, the whole Right to Survive gang at the Pitch a Tent. And then 2 weeks later, the Rainbow Gathering was going off in that national park just north of Carson in Washington, just
Gifford
right over
Pinchot?
the ridge, like
It
90 minute drive
mountain.
away. So we're
Yeah.
like, oh, man, we gotta go.
Yeah.
I've been hearing about the Rainbow Gathering since I was a kid, so we gotta go. It's in our backyard. And we went. It was so much fun. But we get up there, and it took hours. It took days, right? A day and a half to get up there to get past all the police and everything. We got him to let us drive my car because I'm crippled, and crippled people are mean. And I got them to think of my car as a cab because they had to I'm crippled. I can't walk. So they let us take the cars up.
Yeah. To the
Well, I
top
guess
of the
you
mountain.
can make it work for you sometimes.
Top of the mountain, baby.
Yeah, we've been to the mountaintop.
But the Rainbow Gathering was great.
It was
because,
great.
Yeah, it was.
You know,
It
it's
was
how
really great.
people. It's mostly runaways. I think it's a really, really young crowd, and it makes me feel like at least they have some place they can go every year and get together and be together and not be abused or, you know, teenagers that are at such they're in a horrible position that everybody wants to use them for any amount of horrible reasons. So
What I like about the rainbow is it was a monetary concept.
yeah.
And did nobody go hungry? Did nobody go without a place to sleep? Did nobody?
It's communal kitchens.
It was communal kitchen. Told you how to survive without plumbing that you have to pay to the city, that if your plumbing don't work, you have to pay X amount of money.
Sure.
We lived off the land, for the land, with the land. That's what I liked
And
about it.
when everybody
Yeah.
left, they cleaned it up, and
Yeah,
it was
cleaned
right
it
back
up,
to where
yeah.
it was.
And the best part about it is pocket, what they call it,
Pocket exchange.
Pocket exchange.
Yeah,
That's
that
what I
was
like.
fun.
Yeah,
It's
you reach in your
mandatory.
pocket, it's mandatory, and you go like this, and you open your hand at the same time. So you may get a button. You say, I don't need a button, but you do it to the next person. Oh, my button broke. I need a button. So you never know what
That's
you
an
get.
interesting
Yeah,
concept.
like one
Pocket
man's
exchange?
treasure is another one's trash, whatever.
Yeah, it's always really funny. Yeah,
it was really
really
funny.
funny.
So you get things that you may not need, but the next person you give it to may need it, and then sooner or later you're gonna get what
Kind
you
of
need.
my way of paying it forward.
Yeah.
I went to the one down out of Roseburg, which
Uh-huh.
was bad because a lot of rednecks in Roseburg, and they were coming up causing all kinds of trouble,
Yeah.
breaking into people's stuff and all that. But the drum went for the 4 days I was there. You know,
Really?
the drum and the dancing, and there was a communal kitchen. It took a little while to get used to getting up and doing your morning constitution right next to somebody else, because they just had these logs stretched out, and guys and girls, you know. It took a little bit of you getting used to that, but
Yeah.
you know, it was an experience. And I'm glad to see the one you went to. Was it the Northwest or was it the National?
It was right here.
I think it was the
international.
It was
It
the
was-
international. The national.
was in
Everybody
Washington.
came
Because
here.
there's
It was in
both. They'll
Washington.
do a national, and they'll, which could be very well be near the same place as the local. But
Right.
So it looks like you're ready for another one.
Yeah, I think we are.
All right. How many more is there?
I think 3.
3 more? Well, yeah, we got 32 minutes. We better get moving on it. Then. All right.
Let's do
Next.
it. Let's do it. Number 4.
I like that there's a lot going on. There's a lot of good entertainment stuff. There's good music and good food and good theater and good comedy. More so than I've found in a lot of big cities, and it's also more accessible than in any other city that I've been a part of.
I like the parks. I like being able to take my dog for a different walk every day of the week. And I really like the people.
The parks. There's a lot of nice parks, and nature, and Oregon itself is beautiful, and there's a lot to see.
I like the different seasons, you know, summer, fall, spring, winter. I like it cooler here. And, you know, I like all the fishing and the activities that we have here.
Portland. I like that it's by the water, like my hometown. And I don't know, it's big, and transportation. I like that it's big, and it reminds me of New Jersey, New York, transportation-wise.
Like the beautiful green, like the grass and the trees and the waterfalls.
Wow. I don't know, just replenishing it.
Replenishing the weirdness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Making sure it's tidy and happy.
I'm not really actively doing that. That's not something I think about. Maybe I should ask an Asian for some suggestions.
Wear a unicorn helmet while riding a unicycle. Paint your house with leopard spot. Shave your head and tattoo a bird on it.
A black homeless activist, Muslim, in an interracial marriage that put tent cities up to help houseless people sleep.
That's pretty weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
I'm a transplant. My boyfriend used to say that I was a dirty immigrant.
No, I can't be annoyed by it because I'm one of them. So that's fine. I think it's okay. I understand why people want to move here. It's a great place. There's a lot of consequences, and the city's changing very drastically because of it. It's going to become a much more competitive place to live. You're going to have to hustle a lot harder to live here because so many people are moving and the costs are going up. So there's definitely some consequence to it. But I did it, and I understand why people want to do it.
I think it sucks because whoever transplanted all these white folks, everybody else, they sucked.
People, transplant is good as long as it's going to bring positive change, you know.
I think it's good because it's giving Portland a unique
way of life. But if you're talking about the city officials, they need to go back to Uranus. You get Uranus. Uranus.
Just say it one more time.
What, Uranus?
It creates a bigger problem with housing that we have already. 300 and 500,000 people are supposed to move to Portland. How do we house them if we can't even house our own homeless people?
Transplants are inevitable because with global warming, there's going to be a huge rush north.
What cliche comes to mind?
All's well that ends well.
Okay, ask an Asian.
You stick out like a sore thumb.
Don't cut off your nose to spite your face.
My brother-in-law used to say, "Not I," said the red hen, because he just say that there's just so many things that that we're just acceptable to, that we should be acceptable to.
Ez a vonat megáll minden nagy fánál. This train stops at every big tree.
It's like you're gonna die anyway. Make a difference.
Cowabunga.
All right, that was great.
Awesome.
You know, it occurred to me while watching that this is a really good example. You are a really good example, all of you, of what Portland Cable Access, or actually just public access, is all about to begin with.
Yeah.
You know, you have an idea, you have a passion, and you take the classes, or you just go to camera on your own, and you go out and you get into the community and you show the world that community.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing, and that's great.
And imagine what we could do with cash.
We doing it without cash.
Our budget for the last one we did was $10 because we wanted to buy a Richard Nixon postcard. So $10 they spent on the last one, but usually they're free.
Well, obviously you don't need money to do this and to do it
No.
well.
One of the things, well, I don't know. What do you think? We're trying to be funny. Casey, that's why we have him, because he cracks us up.
I got nothing to say.
I got nothing to say. No, you shy. Mother, no, I can't say
Well, what was the whole gist of that whole gist of that last segment, other than the Ask an Asian, was just most of that I didn't. It was too fast for me to catch it, but it was just mainly why people are in Portland.
Yeah, the number 4 was transplants are ruining Portland because so many people are moving here. Well, that's going to happen. People are going to move here. The country is growing.
Especially if we build houses for them.
Yeah.
If we don't make it easy for them to come up here and get situated, of course, even that would maybe drive the prices up even more, because then they would be more valuable, the ones that were available.
Well, the thing is, we can build housing. Sure, we can build housing, but why does it have to be multi-million-dollar, huge sky rises for the wealthy? Why can't it be housing for middle-income, middle-class, lower-class people? I mean, why are we so effing greedy?
Well, I think there was supposed to be some kind of regulation that at one time that a certain amount of these apartments inside these large places were supposed to be for lower income housing, but I don't think they do that anymore.
They do that, and that's how they get the how they bid on the contract. They say we're gonna put such amount for subsidized housing,
That was
and then
it.
once they build it, it take a left turn and it goes out, because I guess
the old shell game.
Yeah, I guess if you want to look at reality, if somebody's paying $2,200 a month for the same apartment, somebody on subsidized housing that's paying $300 a month, you're saying, why should I pay this much? So then it's kind of eased their way out of the things, you know.
Even though they're
even what you call it, the Threadwater down on the waterfront by the Amzi, by the lift, is it Threadwater,
I don't know.
complex, what is it? I forgot. Hedgewater.
Right.
One of those, yeah. Some of those supposed to be subsidized housing. My first time in there, when a friend, he sold his house and moved there, and he invited me over there, man, it's like you don't never have to leave that place. You got restaurants, you got grocery stores, you got clothing stores, you got pet stores, you got everything there. You don't have to leave that complex. And so it's, you have to have money to live over there. But, and that's the way these contractors and developers do. They lie, you know, like they've been lying. You know?
Yeah.
So they lie. So
and so city council just says lie to me, probably.
No,
Well,
the city council, they're in on it.
That's what I mean.
They open up
Yeah.
their,
They're
no,
not
lie
being,
to me.
They're not being
No,
lied to.
lie to me.
Yeah, yeah. They're,
Yeah.
Well, I don't see how if there's regulations and then it's part of the contract, how do they just take a left turn, as you put it?
It's the same way how they imposing unjust laws on houseless people. We're saying, you know, you can't sleep here. That's a human right, it's a civil right, it's a constitutional right. And if you don't know your laws, they can put anything on you. So when people don't know about it, they get away with it. You know, and how can you impose a law that's not even came across the public, the people to vote on it? This is the law we need. They just impose it on it. This is happening. And then by the time a number of people go to court and start fighting it, then the first wave of people that got caught, they just ass out of luck, you know, because they didn't fight it, they didn't know. And so until you call them on something, they're going to get away with it.
Especially if you're talking about being rousted. You know,
Yeah.
they cut up your tent or they impound it or
Right.
you've lost all that stuff. You may
Right.
win in court
Take
6
your
months
stuff
later.
away.
Right, and
Yeah,
then so what happens,
So what do you-
okay, oh, you can't do that, you're gonna take a leave, just like if a police shoot a black person, you know, you get paid leave and sit down and say, go hide from them, we're gonna pay you to hide, go take a vacation, then come back 6 months later, they think it's all forgotten about and they got their job. So they cut up your tent, they get spanked on the hand and say, go hide somewhere and come back, and it's too late, you don't have your stuff, it's gone. What you gonna do?
Mm-hmm. I was wondering about the mentality of those the officers or whatever. Sometimes they're transportation folks too. I think, at least out in East County, that are happening on the freeway. The mentality of those folks that can go in there
the
and
park rangers.
yeah, that
same
too.
difference.
Cut up somebody's life and kick them down the road in 100-degree temperature or 25-degree temperature. I wonder, man, how do them folks go home and talk to their kids at night?
Because corporate rights is taking over human rights. That's what it is. We all waiting for the corporations. That's what it is. It's just like when the houseless person or a person that's seen poor get on the max, they, you know, the transit police go straight to that person that look poor and say, where's your ticket? And then you show them your ticket. You say, where you going? You don't show them where you going. So you got to get off because you want to tell us where you going. It ain't your business where I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm going to see your mother. That's where I'm going. Again.
All right.
It's a lot of satisfying.
Yeah.
All right.
And she told me about you too.
With that one, we should go to the next one, right?
Okay, we'll watch episode 5 is environmentalists are self-indulgent.
Well, they're all pretty much white middle class.
Yeah.
So what do we get?
When did you become aware of the environmental chaos taking place?
Man, I'd have to say 300-400 years ago when the Europeans came.
I guess I've always known about it because my father is a biochemist and he used to work for the University of Minnesota. Then when Nixon took over, he started Environmental Protection Agency in 1970. Dad was tired of academia, so he got a job with the government. It was called the greenhouse effect back then in the 50s. They thought at first we have 150, 200 years to fix it, but by the 1970s, it was really obvious that things were progressing way faster than they thought, and so that's why Nixon started the Environmental Protection Agency. No matter what you think of his presidency, it wasn't a partisan issue. You cared about the environment. It's not Republican or Democrat. You cared about the environment.
Okay, what kind of self-indulgent environmental activities do you do?
I swim, hunt, and fish.
I like that answer. I like it.
I'm pretty self-indulgent. I have a hybrid car, and I just put solar panels on my roof, my green roof.
I love to camp and hike, and I love to photograph a lot. I'm a pretty avid photographer.
I used to raise bees, honeybees, in an urban environment, and I like to grow my sunflowers.
Good turn, baby. Thank you.
Yes, I have been to national parks. The Grand Canyon, which is like 6 hours away from my house. Tonto National Forest. I've been to Yosemite. I've been to Yellowstone. I've been to the Teton National Park.
I just came back from Crater Lake National Park.
The Redwood Forest, honestly.
Redwood?
Yeah.
That's it, just one?
Because there's trees.
We went to the Badlands in South Dakota. We went to Mount Rushmore. We went to the Avenue of Giants, which is like the tall redwood trees. I went to Humboldt County, did some camping there. Went to Yosemite, went to the Grand Canyon, the hot springs in Thermopolis. And they also have a state park where you can drive around and look for buffalo. Went to Yellowstone. And these were all like really amazing places. And the reason why we went is because we were driving through the country to go see family. The reason why we stopped is because it was just so beautiful you couldn't just drive through it. And because camping is cheaper than hotels. And
Been to Niagara Falls. And one of the great things about national parks is they're GIMP friendly. You don't have to pay the entrance fee, and camping is half price.
You know, it's controlled, you know, it's limited exposure for the animals and the terrain and everything where, you know, you can't like get out and do a whole lot of stuff. You know, you're
Yeah.
kind of, you know, corralled, and you can still witness, you know, what it's like to see a brown bear, or still feel what it's like to, you know, to see a wide open panorama of trees or flowers or whatever it is.
But you're not going to go wreck it.
But you're not going to go wreck it.
Oh, technical difficulties.
It froze up.
Oh.
Well, like I said, Murphy was a videographer.
Yeah.
What can go wrong will
Are
go
you
wrong.
vegan?
So,
No.
Do you hunt?
Nah.
Oh, do you hunt?
Trying to bring it back here? I guess not. Anyway, we got 16 minutes and another clip and a couple short clips. And do you want to go somewhere, or do you want to play another one? That was a pretty interesting one, what everybody liked about Oregon.
Yeah, environmentalists, I was trying to make the point that we're all environmentalists, except for maybe the Koch brothers, but everyone really cares about
The environment.
the environment, animals, fresh water, clean air. You want food that you can eat that isn't covered
Smile
in
back at
pesticide.
Or GMOs.
Or GMOs, all of it, yeah. Everyone's an environmentalist was kind of the point of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the other clip is the other half of it.
Well, you mentioned the Koch brothers. It's terrible because they know how to work the system. Because you watch OPB, and a lot of the programs is funding by Koch brothers. You know, they know how to have it. They know how to have it both ways.
Yeah.
They attack science, but then they go on OPB and they support it.
Yeah.
So you say there's another one?
Oh, we can go back to this one. All right.
Oh, okay. Let's go back to this one. That was getting good.
What you'd miss in nature if you had to go out and kill whatever you saw outside.
Yes, I hunt and fish. I do both.
I'm not a vegan, but I have cut out eating meat as much as I can. And every once in a while I have a slip. I might work up to being vegan one day.
Is there anything that can be done about the coming catastrophes?
Yeah. Don't do nothing that will cause them. Self-explanatory.
We would first have to realize that once we lose the environment, it's not just going to go back overnight. We need to be able to respect it and live in harmony with it. People say, oh, the bears are coming down and they're threatening our children. But, you know, that's where the bears lived before people were here. So it's actually us who are endangering their families. And then the insects. We have to protect the insects environment or else
The vegetarians don't get to eat. They don't get to pollinate.
Don't have any more flowers, don't have any more fruits, no more vegetables.
Oh, I feel pretty pessimistic. I think if our country had been really proactive in the 70s, we might have been able to have a different outcome that we're going to have now. Carter, again, he might have been wrong politically, but he was right on science. He had solar panels put on the White House. He had the national speed limit lowered to 55. You know, they started working on the electric car, and when Reagan came along, swoop, all that was gone and speed limits were doubled. Everyone was like, la 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 la, I'm not listening, I'm not listening. Well, the world keeps falling apart whether or not we're listening.
Oh yeah, kick out all the fucking Europeans, man. Shit. Like reset, you know.
Do you have something against Europeans?
Well, they've never stayed across the pond. No, I don't have a problem. I was being sarcastic. We may have to bring that, you know, us Native Americans may have to bring that brochure on how to live on this continent.
Well, there's several obvious steps that should be taken, but individually or even collectively, unless you have a big ear and a big pile of money, the hopes and dreams for the children of the future are up in flames. Shut up!
That was a nice happy ending.
Yeah.
What cliche comes to mind?
What comes to my mind is a commercial of the 1970s where an Alaskan native is rowing his boat across the river and tears running down his eyes when he sees the litter that is surrounding his natural environment. We don't need these disasters. We need an environment we can all live in.
Measure twice and cut once.
Well, every time I hear about, you know, some disaster on a human level, I always think there's plenty of extras.
Ask Nation.
All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Oh no, let the credits run, please.
Well, there you go. Native brochure, Casey Wellborn.
Casey Wellborn. And Yogi Rob.
So we got 10 minutes.
And then Yogi Rob. We got 10 minutes. You really could let him run.
Well, he's making those decisions for us in there.
Oh my God, okay.
But, so is that the last one, other than the 1 minute ones?
No, because the second to last one had Casey's big, good Native American brochure, but it got cut off. Yeah, but you have to watch the show. It's good. It's on late at night because we swear and we always are cracking up sexual jokes and sexual humor and sexual innuendo because, you know.
Sounds like reality TV to me.
Because we're a bit naughty. We're a bit naughty. So we didn't want to try to, you know, we want to pretend we're on cable television. So we do late night shows.
Well, at least you can be real that way.
Yeah.
You know, real reality, not the Trump type of reality show.
Yeah.
The chump.
Yeah, the Trump. He's trumped out.
Yeah, we need to dump Trump.
Dump Trump.
Not pump Trump.
You know,
Not a dumb truck.
When
a
I
dumb Trump.
when I first started doing shows here, I, you know, had to try out new ideas, and so I made a couple of commercials. That's another thing that's so annoying about brain damage is the way that I stumble over words. It always makes me seem like I'm drunk or stoned, but no, just brain damage.
It just makes you seem nervous on TV.
Shut up.
But I know you're not.
No, are you kidding me? No, why do you think I'm wearing these mirrored sunglasses so nobody can see me?
I know I
But
left
I was
mine.
going to say, let's watch one of those commercials. One is a PSA for R2D2.
Hey.
All right.
Hi, I'm Elisa Christensen, president of the nonprofit Portland Burn Survivors, incorporated in 2010. Last year, we got a grant for $5,000 to use for art, so we created this, an anthology.
Do I Believe is an anthology about surviving life-altering injury. Stories, poetry, and art from survivors, their friends, and families. From a woman in the USA burned this past year, to a Canadian author and motivational speaker burned as a child, to a model photographer in the United Kingdom helping people redefine beauty. 26 artists share their points of view.
Portland Burn Survivors, Inc. is a nonprofit corporation devoted to helping burn survivors live happy, rewarding lives for survivors, their friends, and family. Visit our website, pbsurvivors.org, or find us on Facebook, Portland Burn Survivors, Inc.
All right, good job. Well, getting back to what I was saying earlier, you mean you've taken it upon yourself to learn a craft, you know, the video craft, and you've used it in such a way as to enhance your community.
Well, that's very nice of you to say, but I actually did know the video craft before because
You was a stunt woman.
I was a stunt woman. I lived in Los Angeles for almost 20 years, and everything was analog then in the 80s and 90s. So I did a cable access show in Los Angeles called Sheena Metal's Freakin' Rock Review, and it was hilarious. But we were all analog. So when I they don't have cable access in Los Angeles anymore.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Isn't it crazy? Because Comcast is like, oh, well, they have YouTube now, so we don't have to give them any free
It's up to the city council, really.
Wow.
And that's how, luckily we have for all the bad things you can say about the city council, they're standing behind public access TV.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think public access is not-for-profit. I don't think it has anything to do
may
with
be,
the city
but
council.
the money that comes...
That's a question I guess we need to ask.
Well, the money that comes from the people's subscription for cable, instead of coming to us, it goes to the city and to their main general fund. Okay. And they can give us whatever they want to give us or none at all. And that's what happens to a lot of public access facilities is they just they have to give you the money to buy equipment, but they don't have to give you any money for operations. And that's how Eugene got put down to almost nothing. That's how, you know, I think Seattle even lost out recently.
Yeah, but I really loved coming back up here and taking the classes again, like 25 years later. And it was all kind of, okay, it's learning to do the same thing super, super easy. And the lights are way nicer. Boy, I used to burn my hands on lights all the time.
It's not hot at all now.
But the cable access show and the cable access community in Los Angeles was so fun that nobody made any money off it. But when I think back on my career, those are some of the funnest shows I ever worked on, was the cable access stuff, because it was so funny. We could just get away with anything.
Well, it's not near as intense.
We did a live nude show once. We just had stuff set up on the stage that were just like I had like a stand for a music stand just to cover my breasts and it crossed my legs so my my naughty bits weren't showing. And Jennifer had a big fake beard, big fake
hairpiece,
wig covering her breasts, going down. And we were so funny. We just did the craziest stuff on that show. I loved it.
So we're down to 4 minutes. So
4 minutes.
Yeah.
Hey, let's watch the.
We got one more.
Yeah, one more PSA for R2D2.
All right.
We are Right to Dream 2, a rest area in downtown Portland. For 3 years, we have been giving a safe place to sleep for up to 100 people a night.
That's over 50,000 safe dreams.
R2D2 is alcohol and drug free with no tolerance for violence. Since our open, 190 dreamers have gotten jobs.
175 dreamers found housing.
Our overhead is low, only $1,500 a month.
That includes liability insurance, water, electricity, and porta potties.
Our biggest expense is washing our sleeping bags 2 times a week. The past 3 years, we've given away 6,000 blankets, thousands of warm winter clothes, food when we have it, and a sense of community to people that are otherwise isolated.
R2D2 has never taken a dime from the city.
Come visit us, 4th and West Burnside.
Whatever happened with the owner of that property? Is
He
he doing a lawsuit?
No, he's disgruntled.
Dropping them.
He's getting paid because PDC is buying that property and they're giving him $10,000 a month until they fix up the property that we got for ourselves. And right now, his partner that he promised he would help sell the land may not live to the end of this year, so he wants his money now to give his partner so he can go out, happy. And PDC is like holding back on it. They won't give it to him unless we leave. So now he's saying, well, my partner dying Right to Dream too. Can y'all leave? But we don't leave. Where we gonna go? And so we back. Move along to where, And
back
so,
to that.
so now the city, they can give that man his money and the city can say we can stay there till they finish our property for us. But they're trying to create havoc between us and the landowner. And we know that.
So, well, we're down to 2 minutes. Take it
Well,
away.
Well, take it away. I think it was fun.
It was
Thanks
fun.
for having us.
All right, I
Really
appreciate that.
it.
I'm glad you got a hold of me and we did this. Where can people find out more about? I know there was some websites up there. I mean, you're working on another one right now?
No, I don't have anything in mind.
Well, people should get a hold of you.
You got to do a Native American life coach.
Yeah. Native American life coach. We think that would be
That's
funny.
a good one. So these are like hour programs or?
No, half hour.
Half hour?
Not even, about 25 minutes.
And so is there any way people can view these online?
Yes, they're on YouTube. They're under Elisa Christensen is my YouTube page, and they're in there.
All right, we can get her.
Or just put Meet the Disenfranchised. They all come up.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I was thinking about getting your name up there one more time so people could see.
Or just Meet the Disenfranchised.
Yeah, that might be the easiest way to do it, right? Yeah. So, well, I appreciate you. There it is. Meet the Disenfranchised.
Yeah, they're on YouTube, so yeah, you can see them there.
So there's you don't have to go to different ones. They're all on one little channel.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was hoping. That way they don't have to search around for each one of them though. So we're down to 54 seconds. I appreciate you folks coming on, and I appreciate you having the gallery out here too. This is great. Great. It just felt like we were all like a community here, and that's what public access is, and that's what you're doing here. So I also want to thank the crew.
Thank you, crew.
And the crew, Ken and Chago, they're in the
and Robert, and everybody there that's helping out, that's part of the crew, is also just recently taken the classes, and they're taking advantage of one of the most underused resources in the country is public access TV.
Use cable access.
It would cost you thousands and thousands of dollars to do something that people can do here for almost nothing or for $10.
You better believe.
Anyway,
$10.
All right. Thanks for tuning in.
One.
We'll be back the second Wednesday of next month. Good night for now.
Good night for now.